So I'm here with Ben Rao, who is that right? Am I saying it the right way?
Ben Rao is the way to say it.
Excellent. Who? How long ago was it that you came and asked that you wanted to do some coaching with me? It was a couple of years ago now.
Probably about 3 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. So about 3 years ago, came and did some one-to-one coaching, and he sent me a Facebook message saying that he's had some great success. So I asked if we could do an interview about that success. So thanks for doing this, Ben. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much, Mike.
Great. So why don't you let us know what was going on? What was the reason you decided to get in touch with me? And where were you at before we kind of did anything together?
Well, when I got in touch, I had released a couple of EPs, but they were few and far between. So it usually took me up to 6 months to finish tracks. I would start things and not finish them all the time. And yeah, then when I would finish them, they would come out and the tracks would do reasonably well, but there wasn't any momentum behind it because there just wasn't enough music being finished to get that hype going.
Yes. So
Yeah.
so you would do the kind of stop start thing where you were. I mean, I guess if you're taking 6 months to finish every track, it's kind of hard to get that momentum going, especially in.
That's right.
It,
If you get a 3-track EP out once a year, then that's good going. Then you're quicker than 6 months a track. Then you're 4 months a track. So yeah.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
So we started doing some one-to-one coaching, didn't we? And so what were the things that kind of what are you doing now? Why don't we go to that first? Where are you?
Well, I work on music every day. I usually take about on a good one, I can take 2 to 3 days to finish a track, but normally it should average on about a week a track normally. That's a working week, so that's probably 5 working days.
Mm-hmm.
Last year I think I made something like 16 or 17, but I did take some extended time off as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was on tour in South Africa, and then during the summer when it was just sweltering heat, I didn't hit the studio for about 8 weeks as well. But I was just finishing tracks and then tons of more sort of unfinished things, but which will get finished eventually as well.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing lies around for too long. They all get recycled into new tunes.
Well,
Yeah.
well, I mean, the thing is, when you are kind of being, getting to finish much more stuff, then you have a lot more options available to you, don't you? It's like
That's right.
not there isn't so much pressure on every single track. And talking of that, actually, what would you say the effect is on the quality of the music? So, with the music that you were taking 6 months to finish as compared to the music that you're now doing in a week or so?
Well, the success speaks for itself. I've had 2 EPs charting at #1 in the vinyl charts on DJ.de, and I remember the one that's currently, which was sitting on #1 just a couple of weeks ago until it sold out. Sold out in 500 copies in 5 days, vinyl only. And that track I made in a couple of days because my good friend Enzo Siragusa was playing the Terrace at Amnesia, and he said, I need some music for the Terrace. And I said, let me make you a tune. And there was a deadline to it. And so the quickest ones the ones that come together the quickest seem to be the ones that resonate with people. And and when it takes longer than a week, it kind of loses. It loses something. If it hasn't happened after a week, usually it's not going to happen anymore. Basically.
Yes. Yeah. No, that is often the case. You kind of put it to one side, and sometimes they'll you'll suddenly have an idea, and it'll come back. But you'll I mean, I totally get it. Which is exactly the opposite way around to probably the way you were thinking about it before. Am I right?
That's right. I mean, before I was thinking about every single component of every track. And having ideas on a daily basis, then implementing that, playing around with a loop or one element of the track for ages. And now like basically, like I have a new mantra, and the mantra is we're not aiming for perfect, we're aiming for good enough.
Yes, absolutely. I can't remember. I saw a Facebook post actually. What somebody from the community put. I can't remember who it was now, but it was someone very big and famous who's been doing it for years. And he said something like, "You want to always be aiming for 7 out of 10 as far as you're concerned." Because
that's it.
I mean, that sounds terrible, doesn't it? Oh, we must only shoot for 7 out of 10, but it's as far as you're concerned, because you're not always right.
Yes.
You've got to remember you've heard the thing over and over again.
That's one thing I found is "You're Good Enough" is another man's genius track. Yeah. So like like that's your own perception is good enough. But then another person might think this is the best thing they've ever heard, or they might not think that. I mean, that's up to the listener. But one thing that I've learned now is not to be so attached to the music, and just basically put them out there in the world. I've got a few trusted friends that I give them to play, and like quite a lot of times I honestly don't have a clue.
Yes,
if they're
yeah, totally. That's exactly it. I mean, the problem is knowing. So there's this experience that I think every music producer will have had, where they start a track and they think it's the best thing that they ever did, and then over the course of time they'll come back to it and then they'll go, oh, now I hate it, right? But but what I ask people to question is, why are you believing yourself now more than you did then? Why do you have to change it now? Because at some point you did think it was great. Now that doesn't mean it is great. I totally accept that. It doesn't. You may well have been wrong then, but our tendency is always to believe what we think now, rather than ourselves in the past or ourselves in the future. And and this is why there's always. I always found that I was so wrong about the music that was good. So if I did an EP, I'd go, oh, everyone's going to absolutely love the A side, and everyone totally ignored the A side and were like, the B side's amazing, which I was a little bit embarrassed to put out, and I was like, oh, I'm not sure about this one. At least I'll put it on the B side, and hopefully no one will see it. And everyone goes nuts about the B side, and it's because we are in the moment of, in any given moment, we are entirely likely to be wrong, especially the longer you spend, the more, the less objective you get about the music. So it's kind of just about, and
that's right. And like, I mean, that was really probably one of the biggest things I took away from the coaching sessions with you is you said one thing. You said when you go to the studio, you leave judgment at the door.
Yes.
So like my one thing that I said to myself was basically if at one point I was excited about this track, no matter how I feel about it now, I will finish it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the best judge of what a good track is or what my best tracks are. And so a lot of times with a bit of distance, like once I give them to other people to play and I have a bit of distance, then I almost always I really start liking them like after a while. But it takes a little bit of time from me having finished those tracks, a couple of months, and then me playing them in the clubs and trying them out, and I was like, this is all right, actually.
I mean, this is one of the problems with being a DJ, is who's constantly playing out, is that you judge and you'll naturally do it. Of course you do. You judge your own music next to all of this other music that you're always playing. But what you forget is that your music has certain kind of a certain emotional resonance that you're kind of really, is it any good? Is it good enough? And so, and that you experience that feeling in the same place that you experience your feelings about the actual music itself. That it's very difficult to separate. It's not like we can separate my feelings about like whether it's good enough with the actual feelings about the music. And so you end up kind of, because you're a bit scared to play, you think, oh, it must be because it's not good enough. But it's probably just due to the fact that you're uncertain about it. And so it's often better just to get a bit of distance and then realise whether it's any good. There were occasions when I finished tracks and I just knew they were really good. That does happen occasionally, but
that does happen, yes.
But only when when you get them out, when you finish them really quickly. I mean, that is the only situation when you have some measure of, this is really good, and then you play it out and everyone goes nuts, and then you're away. So, I mean, in terms of has happened as a result of all this music that you've been making. So you were doing fairly well when you came to me three years ago.
Yes.
But what's kind of happening now? Because it sounds like you've already said you've got stuff coming out, and and it's going into the charts and stuff. So
yes. So I was doing reasonably well. I mean, I'm part of a very large sort of electronic music brand called Fuse, and releasing on that label and playing those parties has always given me a great exposure. And I've been playing internationally for quite a while, but things have only really started picking up now, and that is because I've had a run of 6 months now of basically releasing music every month, which is various artist EP, three solo, one collab EP, 2 EPs on my own label, and a couple of remixes, and basically for about 6 months there's been a release every single month, and the difference is like night and day what it was before. I've got tours coming up in Australia. Maybe I'm going to come and say hello to you, Mike, as well. I'm going to be in Sydney.
That'd be great, yeah.
And I'm most likely going to be going to South America this year as well. I was invited to the States to play, but I did miss my flight, which is unfortunate. To play in New York, it was just out of my control.
Dear.
But it's the calendar is getting really, really busy now, all over Europe as well. And for the first time, really, since I started my career, I can really feel that things are moving at a pace what I've always expected to happen when you do put that music out. And I've realized really that everybody who's ever made it in this industry has had a period of 2 to 3 years of sustained effort of releasing music.
Yeah,
it is tough. You have to be focused, and you have to work hard, and you have to apply yourself every single day. But when it happens and the rewards come in, then it's the best feeling in the world, especially doing a physical product like vinyl, and charting with that. That's very satisfactory to me.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, I remember the big challenge for me was when the success comes and you start getting booked to play all over the world, is maintaining the maintaining the output is a real challenge, because you get obviously there's the lifestyle and everything, and it's kind of hard to keep on it, which is why this stuff is so important, because then you have the skills to actually maintain the output. I mean, it was something that I had to learn very, very fast, because otherwise it was this kind of, you get booked to play and then you stop making the music because you're always, all over the world, and then the bookings fall off a cliff. So it's kind of maintaining that thing. Because I remember when you came to me, you didn't have your own label, did you? We talked about that in some of the sessions. I
didn't have my own label, and that was another thing. I think in our second coaching session, because the coaching sessions, I don't know if the viewers will know this, but we spread it out quite long. Yeah. So I would check in with you basically once every 8-9 months. Yeah. So I think after the third coaching session, I was telling you about frustrations with release schedules with labels. So, something was going to come out and just before the summer, and then that got pushed back and pushed back again. And then I pulled that release because the guy just wasn't doing anything, and then got another label, and then it took another 6 months. So all of a sudden I had this huge gap of no music coming out. And then you said, well, you have to think about doing your own label. And I had sort of thought about it for a while, but it seemed like a really big step to me. And I didn't really have a clue of how this whole thing is done. And then initially I decided to do it together with a friend, but it turns out that I really just wanted somebody to hold my hand while I'm jumping off a cliff, really. and so we kind of split up because we're still best of friends, but we went in different musical directions. So it made no sense doing this label together, because he was just doing something completely different. And then I just decided, okay, I've got these tracks lying around, let's just go for it. And turns out it's not as hard as everybody thinks it is.
There you go.
And you do have to apply yourself, and there's certain things to deal with, but it's certainly doable, and like it's really enjoyable as well. I really enjoy it.
Well, I think for me, one of the things that I realised fairly early on, luckily, was that if you can't put the health of your career 100% in the hands of other people, and essentially by relying on other labels, you're essentially putting your ability to do what we were talking about, which was have releases consistently over a certain period of time. You're putting that in the hands of other people, and they're not bad people. They're just doing their thing, and the health of your career isn't their number one concern, totally, which is absolutely fine. So it's for me certainly, I always had some form of outlet of my own, which I controlled, because then if what always used to happen if I had stuff coming out on labels is that everyone would put them like the track out in like their track out in the same month. So I'd have like 6 releases in a month, and then there would be nothing, or there would be these massive great long gaps. And so if you in that situation, then you've got this constant drip feed of good stuff that you're making, which you control. And the thing about not knowing what to do and it being a big step, I always felt, and I still do, that the best way of actually learning how to do something is put yourself in a situation where you're doing it, because then there's a gap, which means that you do the learning. If you try and work it all out beforehand and figure out exactly what you've got to do and get it all set, you'll never do it. You know what I mean? You'll never take that step. So it's about going, right, I'm going to do this, and then you just do it, not knowing what you're doing. So people go, well, how do I promote? How am I going to get people to hear the music? It's like, well, do it, and then you'll be in a situation where you've got to do it, so you'll work it out. Do you know what I mean? It's that it's that kind of thing. So it's all yeah. I mean, the having your own ability to put your own music out, I think, is a massive, it's a massive one. It's I think if you similarly, as you were saying, if you look at all the people who've got big, I think 90% of the people who are big have their own label of some kind. When you actually look at the the people, not absolutely everyone, but not the vast majority. So or at least they're aligned very closely with a label, so that they do have some kind of ability to kind of manage it. Great. So what have you got coming out soon? What are your next plans?
Well, basically, the label has had like a just pretty amazing start, and I couldn't have wished for more, really. On the first release, we're like on the 3rd repress now. On the second release, we're on the 2nd repress, and they're still selling. So I'm just going to keep this up. So I've scheduled a release in basically every 3 months. Only problem is now I've run out of music, so all of the stuff that I made last year has come out now, so I'm basically playing catch up now, but that's good, that's okay. A little bit of pressure is absolutely fine. So next release is going to be in hopefully mid-May, which is exactly 3 months after the last one, and then in 3 months there's going to be another release, and I'm just going to keep this going indefinitely until the touring gets so much that I'll struggle to do that. But the next plan also is, because I'm really enjoying doing this, and I'm getting sent so much music, because the label's primarily a self-release platform. It's only my own music. Right. So I'm getting sent so much music now for people who think that Incal, the label, is also open to other people, that I'm going to start a second label, pretty much exactly 1 year after I started the first one, which is going to be open for other artists as well. Wonderful. And that will allow me to do label nights and just expand on the operation. That is the plan, basically.
Excellent. So where, if someone was thinking about, either doing one-to-one coaching, or, because with the one-to-one coaching, you also got the Start Now Finish Fast program, or just, a program, I mean, what would you say to those who are kind of wondering whether it's a good thing to do?
Well, what I would say is, if you're serious about this as a career, and you've already, had some success with establishing yourself and already released some music, then I would recommend this. Certainly recommend it. I think I've got my money's worth, and I think yeah, like it's basically you'll get basically some invaluable advice and how to fight for yourself in this industry. Because one thing that you realize is the longer you do it and the more successful you get is that it's a lot harder than you think it was when you first started out. It's really tough, and very few people really make a good living out of this. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. It's certainly very possible. It takes a lot of focus, and it takes what's the word that I'm looking for? So focus and self-discipline.
Yeah.
And also, maybe avoiding mistakes that you can avoid when you talk to somebody who's already been through the motions, like you. So in that sort of sense, I would just recommend the one-on-one coaching, because it's just a bit more tailored individually to you than when you just do the program. The program is great, by the way, and I still keep going back to it. Been going back to it for 4 years and still do bits. So that's still there, and you get all of that for free when you do the one coaching.
Yeah, and it's impossible to cater for absolutely everybody in every situation, because the people who have done the program are like everyone from beginner to people who are already doing really well. There's the very famous DJs who've done the program as well. So you can't cater for everyone. So it's just I always enjoy speaking one-to-one with people and actually being able to offer, because one of the things I find is like incredible to an outside person, the possible solutions are extremely obvious, but to you who's kind of in, you can't see the outside of the box if you're inside the box, and so to you sometimes it's like, well, I can't see a way out of this. And I mean, it happens with me when I talk to other people and I get coaching, and someone will just say something, and I'll be, oh yeah, why didn't I think of that? Or sometimes you'll be in a situation where you're stopping yourself from doing something because you're actually scared of it. But then you need somebody to actually lead you through it and go, why are you scared of it? What are you actually scared of? What's going on? Like with the label stuff, for instance, and that in itself allows you to do it as well. So where can people listen to this music? I know it's on vinyl, and some people won't be able to buy the vinyl. But do you have any kind of snippets or somewhere?
Yes, so it's all up on the SoundCloud accounts. So you can go to soundcloud.com/benraumusic, or you can go to soundcloud.com/inkal_music. Inkal written INKAL. That's my label. And there's plenty of podcasts up there that always have unreleased music on there, and all of the vinyl releases are obviously snippets up there to listen to. And just keep watching out for the new releases in May and every 3 months from then.
Brilliant. Well, I'm absolutely over the moon that things have been going so well for you, Ben. You really deserve it, and thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much as well, Mike. You've played an integral part to what's going on here right now.
Oh, fantastic. Well, long may it continue.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Thank you.